Good evening, and welcome to the first Dania Beach City Commission Budget Public Hearing. It is Wednesday, September the 13th at 5:01. Call the roll, please.
Mayor James?
Here.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Here.
Commissioner Brandemart? Here. Commissioner Grace? Here. Commissioner Salvino?
Here.
City Manager Baldwin?
Here.
City Attorney Ansbro?
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. This evening, we are holding our first of two state-mandated public hearings on the proposed budget for fiscal year 2017-2018. And I want to thank the City Commission for your direction in preparing this budget. As you will recall, the City Commission directed that the budget be prepared with no increase in the operating millage. You further requested that we seek to use increased revenues to meet our growing public safety needs and seek to improve our recreation programming and facilities. We recommended adding 4 firefighter paramedics so that you could add a 3-personnel med unit at Station 17, 5 deputy sheriffs, a North Beach lifeguard, an athletic director, and some other improvements. Following presentation of the city manager's proposed budget on July 26, 2017, the administration met with the mayor and individual commissioners, and you reviewed the budget document and additional information. On August 23, 2017, the City Commission held a budget workshop where you deliberated and made modifications to the proposed budget, and the finance director will go over those changes in her presentation. And you also set the tentative millage, which was sent to the state. Again, the budget is built around the current tax millage, and we recommend you set tonight's proposed operating millage the same as the current year, 5.99 mils. One important note, which I've talked to each one of you about, is the City Commission has been very firm on budgeting adequate reserves, general fund reserves and hurricane reserves. Though our current hurricane costs due to Hurricane Irma will impact our hurricane reserves, we feel the city's economic strength and general fund reserves will allow you to rebuild your hurricane reserves without additional taxes. If you do not vote for a millage at least as high as the current millage, you would need to make reductions in expenditures. You need at least 3 votes to maintain the current operating millage, or by default, the millage goes to the rolled back rate, and you will lose $1.96 million in revenue. Remember, the millage set tonight cannot be increased at your second public hearing on September 19th. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Satterfield, who will go over the modifications.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, and staff. Nikki Satterfield, Finance Director. We're going to go over the presentation. I know you've seen it before, but we're going to kind of go through it for public comment in case anyone here would like to see the information. We're going to open it to public hearing for comments as well before you vote on your resolutions that you need to work on tonight. Our property values, just to recap, have increased this year 20%, 20.6%. The current values are $3.8 billion, which now supersedes what our values were back in 2008 before the recession. And our estimated revenue based on the 5.998 mils for this year is going to be $22 million in tax revenue. The budget actions that we're looking for tonight are going to be to approve the tentative millage rate at 5.998 mils and a debt millage of 0.1911. You'll be setting your second public hearing, which is scheduled for Tuesday, September 19th at 5:01 p.m. here at City Hall. And you will be adopting tonight your final assessment rates. Your fire rescue assessment in this budget is proposed at $223.75 for single-family resident, and that is going to be an adjustment of $23.75 per year for that rate. This will provide the same revenue as last year. However, it's important to note that this only covers currently 69% of our fire service costs. The rest is already being paid through other ad valorem revenues. The stormwater assessment, we're not proposing any changes. We're going to pass a resolution for that tonight at $40 per ERU equivalent residential unit. Our solid waste rate, we're looking at an increase of $6 per year to $348.48, which is in agreement with our contracts with Waste Management for the annual solid waste hauling contract. And you'll also be adopting a tentative budget as amended. So I'm going to show you what was originally proposed, and we'll go through the amendments at the end. Currently, what's included in the general fund budget, there is no increase in property tax rate recommended in this budget, and there's no use of undesignated fund balance. The current public safety contract cost is $24.6 million, which is $13.5 million for police and $11.1 million for fire rescue. This is excluding any pension liability costs. The original proposed budget was for 4 new BSO deputies and 3 BSO CSIAs, and continued funding of the Station 1 for 5 firefighter paramedic and a safer grant. We've since met and we've made some adjustments to that, which I'll go over with you in just a few minutes. As far as the city manager's city commission budget, we do have an Oasis project, which is $200,000 in there. The commission contingency is currently going to still remain at $149,000 after all of the adjustments that we've made over the last couple of meetings. And there is a continued funding for aid to private organizations of $35,000. Parks and Recreation, what we've done is we're including a lifeguard north of the pier. The estimated cost, including staff benefits and the actual lifeguard tower, is $139,000. We've budgeted for a recreation position at this point, which is for some type of an athletic director position, which including benefits is $96,000. Shade shelter at Chesterwood Park is $35,000. Repairs and remediation to the Nyberg Swanson House at $50,000, and the resurfacing for the skate park at $15,000. PJ Mealy walkway railings for $15,000. We're also looking to increase 3 part-time positions in recreation to full-time positions. The estimated cost for that is $115,000, including benefits, health insurance, that sort of thing. And we're looking to open the parks on Mondays.
Commissioner Grace?
I want to interrupt you for a second,
Yes, ma'am.
because as we're looking at these general funds upgrade, now we have 2 more that we really need to think about, the IT Parker Community Center, and also, what was the other one? Yes, PJ Mealy. Okay,
We're talking about the facilities?
yes.
Okay. If there was damage due to the hurricane, what we'll be doing, we do have a hurricane reserve for that.
You're going to do that with FEMA?
Yeah. What we're going to do is, typically the way it works is we go ahead and do a cost estimate with FEMA. Sometimes they'll front some of the money, but typically that's why we set the reserve aside. We don't want to have to wait. We can get reimbursement from them. So what we will do is go ahead and assess the situation.
Okay.
We do have to file with.
Want to make sure, because those are major projects.
Yeah, we have to file with our insurance company too as well, because we do have those properties insured. So there will be some insurance money that will come through for those as well. But the point of having the reserve is that we can go ahead and make repairs after we get the estimates done, and then we can seek reimbursement for those.
What about City Hall? Because we had.
Yeah, that would be, if it's contributed to the hurricane, that would be
Okay. All right,
citywide
just
for
wanna
all
make sure we're
buildings.
covering all bases, because these are important items.
Yeah, these things that are happening with the hurricane are going to be outside of your normal operating budget. This is going to be something we're going to have to address on a one-on-one case basis.
Okay.
1 second. Commissioner Salvino?
Just a question on the budget. These are the things that we've talked about including into the budget.
Correct.
And if the funds are allowed to be allocated towards those positions, if we have questions or we can talk about those positions together at a different time before those positions are placed, is that a possibility? Because some of the things that we have up here is just like, the hurricane fund came into problem, and then the IT Parker and all the damage and stuff. things change along the way.
Absolutely.
And so if this money is allocated, which is okay, if it's in the budget, I don't want to change the budget, but if we want to talk about the athletic director's position or the part-time positions or this or that,
No, that's the intent, Commissioner.
Yeah.
Once the money's in there, at least
Okay.
you're not going to fall short on it. If you don't spend it or change the way, then it
as I
becomes a
spoke to you
windfall.
and heard before, I wanted to just express some of my thoughts to the commission and see what they thought about, how that should be directed. That's all.
Right.
When would I do that, though, Bob?
Well, we wouldn't fill any of the positions or
Okay.
anything if somebody
Yeah,
had a concern. we'd bring it
Positions
back.
don't get posted out into the public until they get approval from
Okay.
the city manager's office to do so.
Okay,
So,
just a note that I would like to be able to discuss with the commission some of the thoughts I had before the positions are posted.
Okay, well, and we need clarification on the position as
Okay.
well.
Thank you.
Before we proceed.
Thank you.
any more?
Mhm.
Okay. For public services, there is also a position that has been proposed for a facilities manager position at an estimated cost of $101,000, including salary and health insurance and other related benefits. Public Services Streets Division, we're budgeting $250,000 for additional road repaving, and new for this year is $70,000 for alleyway repaving. We are going to continue with our citywide and our 50/50 sidewalk program, which is budgeted at $130,000. And then we're also going to be outsourcing the actual facilities beach maintenance, not the actual maintenance of the beach, as far as rigging the beach, but we are currently have 3 part-time custodial type positions to help keep the beach clean, the bathrooms clean, that sort of thing. We've been having a little difficulty filling those on a regular basis, so we've this year temporarily outsourced that with a contract agency company and Public Services is overseeing that contract. That seems to be working well, and they would like to continue with that method. That is an approximate savings to the city of $21,000. As far as fleets, this year we are able to budget for some actual fleet in the general fund, which we have not done in the last year. We're looking to buy 2 F-150s in the street division, 1 F-250 in the grounds, a cargo van in the construction division, and an F-550 in the grounds division as well. The vehicles that are being replaced, there's a couple of them that I think they're going to probably transfer to another division for vehicles that are aging in those divisions, and then the rest will be brought to the commission as surplus property at a future time, so we can go ahead and put those up for public auction.
That was going to be my question to you, and I'm kind of glad you clarified that because we want to make sure that we put those out to auction so we can get revenue back in.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That was-
Three position title changes are currently in the budget at this moment. One is for the city attorney's office. We've talked about changing the legal assistant to a legal office manager from a pay grade 28 to a pay grade 30. The estimated cost, including benefits, is $9,000. These are estimated costs, and that will be changed depending on the actual processing of the payroll. Public Services Administration, the admin coordinator position, going to an office manager position from a pay grade 24 to a pay grade 30. Again, the estimated cost, including benefits, is $14,000. And then at the last meeting that we had, the commission had discussed changing the recreation administrative position that's over in recreation from an office manager position back to an administrative coordinator position. And that would be a pay grade 30 to a pay grade 24, so the offset would be the approximately
So this is not
$14,000.
an upgrade, this will be, because my understanding was we were not going to upgrade that position. Am I correct?
Well,
Which position? are
I'm
you talking
sorry?
about? Which position?
This position is,
Recreation administrative.
currently, the position over there is an office manager position.
Uh-huh.
We're looking to downgrade that from a 30 to a 24. That was the commission
Okay.
direction at the last meeting.
Just wanna make sure. Okay.
They didn't feel an office manager position is what's warranted over there at this
Okay.
point in time.
All right.
That includes benefits. That includes benefits.
The enterprise fund, we're currently not recommending any rate changes for the water, sewer, or stormwater fund. Those rates have not changed in the water and sewer fund since 2011. We are going to anticipate potentially doing a rate study this year to see if the rates are in line. There's quite a few projects and infrastructure projects that need to be done. We want to ensure that we have the funding for that. We also need to make sure that our rates are in line with what they really need to be. My personal feeling is taking a look at the revenues coming in and our operating expenditure budgets, is that we'll probably see a shift in rates. I don't know that we're going to see any increases. That, of course, has to come to the commission for approval. But that will take, kind of a lot of work in coordination between Public Services Director and ourselves to make sure that we have a good plan together for our infrastructure over the next few years to ensure that we have enough funds to cover the cost, including the reserves that we already have. The parking fund currently is self-supporting. We're going to use another $200,000 of the surplus parking revenue to help fund the continued improvements down at the on the beach redevelopment project. That puts us at, for the current available funding, at $1.15 million. Some of that's already allocated, which we'll be bringing to the commission to do the underground for the electric, or the FPL underground over there, and then we're also going to be redoing the old marina/bathroom building, and do some repairs to that and some remodeling and a roof and that sort of thing. The pier is also self-supporting. The revenues there are up about 14%, but it is a very small fund. It doesn't have a huge revenue source. Excuse me, so any surplus that's currently in that fund, we're recommending stay in that fund for future repairs and maintenance and planking and that sort of thing. And then the marina is also self-supporting. The occupancy is doing very well there. The revenues are up 27%. Westrec is recommending that we do an increase in rate, not only to stay with the market, but we also have covenants that go with our grant requirements and our debt covenants that indicate we need to stay at market rates. So they've done an analysis for us that is going to increase the rates on October 1st of approximately $150 a month. Okay, I apologize, it's a little slow, but we had quite a few amendments we went through, and I kind of tried to group them together. The first three amendments all relate to each other. We do have to do them individually, so that's why they're outlined out. But the first three amendments here are basically to remove the 3 CSIAs. We're going to fund 2 BSO deputies on October 1, and then we're going to fund 3 additional BSO deputies April 1st. The second, the next 3, 4, 5, and 6 are to address the fire staffing and the paramedic staffing. We're going to add 3 firefighter paramedics on October 1. And then we're going to add 1 additional firefighter paramedic April 1st. And then this is just an adjustment we have to offset for the grant match that we originally had budgeted. If we get the grant, well, we can address that at that point in time. But this basically gets us the funding that we need in order to be able to do all 4 of those.
And you recall, these were all along with the recommendation from the sheriff.
Okay.
And then we have an adjustment for $100,000. This was for a mobility plan that's being recommended by community development. The chamber donations, there was a request in our meetings with some of the commissioners to increase the amount of donations to the chamber by $5,000 per year. We're going to fund $8,000 towards the Gracefully Aging program. There was there's an adjustment for $5,000 to increase the amount that we're going to be funding towards some type of an employee event for next year.
Right. Christmas party.
Right. The summer program, there in our meetings that we had, it was discussed to see if we could maybe attempt to increase the summer program for an additional 2 weeks while the kids are still out of school. So we have the funding for that. The logistics have to be worked out to see if we can accomplish that, but we'll at least put the money in there to see if we can go ahead and get that done.
Gotcha.
The last meeting that we had, there was a discussion about also providing some funding for a lobbyist, a grant writer. So we've allocated $80,000 of that as well to, come back to the commission with a potential contract or contractors, who can help us in that area. And then the last one is a little, I know it seems small, and it is small, $124. This is something I actually came across today. We have to, in our public advertisement, we have to make sure that we budget no less than 95% of our estimated debt ad valorem. And due to a rounding in Excel, we actually need to budget $124 more than we originally planned. So we're just offsetting ad valorem revenue with miscellaneous revenue. The budget doesn't change in totality. It's a technical type thing that I have to do. Okay, and so these are the actions we need to take tonight. Does anybody have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I have a comment. I guess I'll start from the last thing. The current situation that our city is in, there are a lot of our residents, especially in the Southwest, that are still without power. I've gotten a few phone calls from even people in Meadowbrooks that had power this morning that don't have power again. It's just an ongoing process with FPNL, and it's really has caused a lot of angry residents. And with the current administration, I know that he supports infrastructure. And this is something that I believe the need for the grant writer and the lobbyist federally is really important, because there are grants that we could get. Something that I think this commission is going to have to really look into doing is, I don't know if you want to do it bit by bit. I know it's a very expensive process, but it's a conversation that needs to be had, especially living in South Florida, where we are the hurricane capital of the United States. We need to speak about burying lines throughout the city. And I know it's a very expensive thing. I've brought it up with the city manager, I've brought it up with the city attorney, but if we can go section by section, bit by bit, if we can either take out a bond or get certain grants to help offset these costs, that's something that I think that this commission really needs to look into doing, even though burying the lines doesn't totally fix the problem, because as I understand, just because you bury the line, I mean, they have to come from a source that's above ground somewhere. But I can guarantee you it would cut down on, what the problem that we're currently having. We have a lot of elders and a lot of babies, a lot of medications, a lot of food that's gone bad. Our residents are really struggling. So that's the grant writer and the lobbyist is something I think is very important. And I also think that, he's actually, Mr. Gabaton is actually lobbying right now as far as Hurricane Irma is concerned, as a part of his contract that ends October 1. And also, I wanted to know when our contract with Waste Management ends.
7 years.
Yeah.
7 years from now?
7 years,
Yeah.
yes. I think we have 6
Oh,
more.
my gosh.
Won't be here.
Do you think that we're going to constantly have increases in rates yearly?
The
with Waste
increases in
Management?
rates are actually built into the contract. They're only allowed to increase
Okay.
it by a certain CPI, in addition to some adjustments for fuel cost
Okay.
and dumping fees. So it's contained. It's not that they can come in and just say, we're going to increase by a certain amount. It's factored in, and there's analysis and there's rates that we look at, and we verify all the rates to make sure we're using the right benchmarks and that sort of thing.
Okay, and lastly, this might not be the meeting for it, but we're really going to have to decide as a commission what we are going to do with this building. We have to decide if we're going to rebuild it or make it better, or we're going to build another one. We're just patching up, putting a Band-Aid on problems that we're having in this building, and it's putting our first responders at risk. It's making us do a whole lot of maintenance here. It's something that I think we're going to have to look into as well. Commissioner Grace?
Yeah, I think that all of your concerns are valid, but right now, I think that we're going to have to work on doing the Band-Aid. We've got monies in the account to fund everything that we asked for. This is the first time in the last 8 years that I've been on this commission that we have not left anything out. We were able to do everything. I know that next year is going to be even better, so that might be
the right
a
time.
stepping stone to try to work with the CRA or whoever we work with to get a new building here. And we need some type of safety nets for our seniors, because I've been out there running for the last couple of days. I know most of us have been out there running, taking water, taking food. People can't get out. It's hot in their homes and so forth. So I know that we're not the only city that's facing this problem, but there needs to be something that we can do. And I had talked to Colin earlier today, because I thought that the city would probably be able to work with some of our local restaurants to try to make those meals, and then we can have somebody go out and take them to them since they don't have power. It's a lot of stuff that we don't consider because we're having a nice meal. I can run over to Antonio's or Apollo's or Jackson's or Grandpa's or Dockers and pick up something. These people are stationary. They're there, and they have, a lot of the elevators in the buildings don't work. So I would really like for us to come up with some type of solution to try and help out our seniors.
And Commissioner, we sent police and fire went to the nursing homes today, and they've gone to all the different
Yeah, I
nursing
called
homes.
Danny because that was one of my concerns.
Right, I
and
knew
he was
you did,
already on
yes.
top of it, so that was good. But you have a lot of people that are not in nursing homes.
That's right.
They're by themselves, 70, 80, 90, 100 years old, and I don't feel comfortable just enjoying the pleasures and not knowing that they don't have anything, or they can't get out, so.
Colin Donnelly, Assistant City Manager. Just in response to your request regarding the food, Mark, who's our liaison with the water with Broward County, liaison with them again because they also do food setup. And the county responded, to a request for ice and for food services, that they weren't going to be doing meals at this time. I don't know whether that means that they're not going to be doing meals, but we can check back with them tomorrow.
But, we have allocated in our budget for
Thank
Meals
you.
on Wheels.
Thank you.
And we give them a nice chunk of money every year. They should have, to me, they should have been in here, or they should have been on the phone talking to the city manager, or talking to the mayor, or somebody trying to get food in here to our residents. This to me is not acceptable.
We'll keep it up again tomorrow with Broward County.
The budget, I like the way that you went back and reviewed everything that we asked you to do. I think this is going to be something that we're going to be able to live with. This is a good budget for us. It really is. And I'm at a happy camp right now because we're going to do some upgrades in the city, and we're going to get some of the things that we really need. Thank you so much.
Excuse me, Commissioner, but they're excusing themselves because of a conference call with the county at 5:30.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Commissioner Brandon Marty?
Yeah, she partly got what I was going to say. Where are all these organizations? Where are they? That come into places and help out when there's a catastrophe or a disaster. Where are they? Did they forget Dania Beach? Where's this Meals on Wheels that are delivering over on the west side? Why aren't they delivering over and on the east side? Where are all these organizations that we give money to? That's what I'd like to know. Now, I understand that there are other organizations in this city that are getting these freebie Meals on Wheels. If there ever was a time that the people need it, it's today. The West, not the West, the East gets nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. And you know what? We're the ones that float this city because everything we pay is higher than anybody west of Federal Highway. But the point is, we give to some organizations. Why aren't they like spreading that loaf of bread out? Where is this? In fact, if there's anybody in our budget right now, Mayor, that we give money to, what happened to the Siberia thing?
Yeah.
What happened to the pantry thing that we, our senior club, have collected boxes and boxes to stock their shelves? I don't see Iberian here. Where are they? Hello? Where are they? But yet they'll come up and ask us for money. And when those kind of people come up and ask us for money from these other organizations, no, my vote right away is going to be a no. Because like this commissioner said, she's absolutely right. I have older people, and that's all a senior community. Bill, you can vouch for it. All the Meadowbrooks are senior communities.
Bill's
You're not a
25.
senior.
He's 25.
I think he's sleeping. No, but they're senior communities. Where's anything for them? They were offered sand, but that's where the buck stopped.
Oh,
That's
Commissioner,
where the buck stopped, on dirt. Thank you very much. Maybe we on the east side should break off, really, and go with another town.
Not going to happen.
Well, this body is going to be able
Don't
to,
kid yourself.
these donations will come to this commission this year, and you'll be able to ask those kind of questions to the organizations when they come
Oh, then I'm
in.
going to leave that for the mayor to do. She does a great job of that.
I'll
No,
take it on.
yes, she does.
I'll
She
take
does
it
a
on.
great job of that.
But this, like she said,
No,
this is the time for us to
It
be
is.
doing it.
You really need to look back into every organization that you're giving money and funds to, us, not you directly, Nikki, but us, and see, go down the list and see where they are. I mean, because you don't always have to have a lot of money to give community service. I mean, these organizations could have been there bagging sand. I know I have my organization giving food to the public service workers that were giving sand over at PJ Millie. I mean, you don't have to have money to do community service. And if I haven't looked at the list to know every organization off the back of my hand, but if they aren't out here in the thick of things with us right now, it's something that we really need to pay close attention to.
Absolutely.
Vice Mayor?
This is my first time doing the budget from this side of the street. So, and just a couple of questions that I had, if we just, like, on page 3.
Where?
In the sewer fund. Yeah, this one right here, the first page, page 3. Yeah, the actual budget in the green book.
Okay.
Oh, you don't have it, okay.
Page 3.
In 2016, it was 6.6 million, and then it jumped up to 9.4 million in 2017. And then it's back down to 6.5 million in 2018. Is there any reason
Yeah,
that they...
those are due to capital projects.
Okay.
Yeah,
That-
like the lift station rehabs and that sort of
Okay.
thing.
On page 3, in the expenditures, the stormwater fund is increasing by approximately $7.6 million. From here, from... here to here.
That's still the continuation of the Southeast Stormwater Drainage Project, which is
Okay.
SRF funded, which
Okay.
we're still trying to get that
Okay.
bid back and get it under the project cost.
Okay, and then going on page 8. I want you to know I did my homework.
I believe you.
You all did your homework.
Page 8
I know
of
that because of
which
all the
division?
meetings
Page
we've...
8, okay. Let's see, I need to put on my glasses. Sorry. I am a senior. Page 8, line number 34, charges for services.
Under which division?
It says, I guess, revenue source number 34, charges for services.
Oh, yeah.
What are those services? Like, for example, it's not broken down for any more than
There,
services.
the general fund revenues, if you go to page 15, are broken down in detail.
Okay,
So that's, you're looking at a summary page, but if you go to page
Okay.
15, it gives you every line item revenue that we get that
Okay.
comes in.
okay, and then back to page 8, the contingency and legal settlement fund line, there was, in 2016, there was 0. And then in 2017, there was 175,995. There was just a big increase, and then in
Did you-
2018, there was
Well, 2000,
272. What are those legal services? What? do they-
the 2015 for the contingency and legal settlements,
Mm-hmm.
that there is just a combined, that's your commission contingency.
Okay.
That's the actual amount that was spent for 15. You guys did not spend anything in 16, and in 17, you currently have 175,000 budgeted at the beginning of 2017.
Okay. And then,
Now, the recommended amount, which is 272 for 18, is going to go down because of some of the adjustments you've made over the last couple of meetings.
Okay.
But that's going to end up around 149,000 for this year's commit, that you'll have that available to you for, incidental things that come up that are unexpected, not in the budget. Those have to come to you for approval before
Okay.
that money can get spent.
and then the public services fleet management in 2016. The fleet management. It was 395 in 2016, and then down to 200,000, and then back up to 223. Is that because of the new equipment? That's on.
Yeah, yeah.
Or the new, does that comprise the budget from the department that asked for the new equipment that we're ordering, or?
If it's in the 3902 division,
Okay.
let me pull it up real quick. Public service. Want to make sure we're looking at the same numbers.
Okay.
Fleet management?
If,
It went from 188 to 395 to 200 to 223. But you can see that most of that in 2016 was the capital outlay. And we did not have any capital outlay hardly last year. We didn't do any vehicles in this year's
Okay.
budget.
Yes.
okay. And then on page 54, to my assistant.
Ooh, child.
I was just curious.
She does good work.
On page 54, line number 60, capital outlay. In 2015, there was 0.
Page 54 for BSO?
No, that's BSO.
Page 54.
It's page 54.
Mhm.
I know how to assist.
Yeah. Maybe I made an error in my notes. I'll double check that. And then, let's see, is that the BSO Fire Services?
Yeah.
So we're going from 11 to 12 to 12 to 14. I was just curious about what entails, what's inside the increase and why it continues to go up every year. Is that
For
because?
BSO?
Mm-hmm.
That is, the increases for BSO contract, well, part of the increase is due to the fact that we're going to add staffing this year.
Okay.
But they also have contractual increases that they submit to the city, which a lot of those have to do with health insurance
Did we
and
also
pension
like
benefit.
Body cams and stuff like that?
The body
Well,
cams, the
they're-
body,
They're limited to 5%, but
Yeah.
there are
So it's built into the
other
contract,
items that can
5%?
exceed the 5%.
Page 65.
Like she said, health, pension, some of those.
So it's built into the contract
yes.
with an escalator.
Yes, they have a not to exceed 5%. Their estimate this year was around 3%, but
Good.
that excludes pension and health insurance, which we're still waiting for the final, which I'm thinking might be a little late considering the storms.
Yes.
The final numbers to come in on those, but I don't anticipate they're going to be, last year they were not significantly different than the initial projection they gave us.
Okay, so then my last question is like, page 65, two-thirds of the way down the page, it says line number 60, capital outlay.
5.
Is that your name?
It was like 54,000 in 2015, 19,000 in 2016, and then all the way down to 5,000 in 2017.
And now we're doing
And then way up high
201.
to 201.
I can pull it up and tell you what's included in there. That was a
Okay.
request for, this is for public services for their park maintenance
Okay.
division. I can let you know what that is.
Okay, sure. That's easy. That's my last question, so. This is a learning experience, like I said. Budget's 101.
That's what rookies do.
Actually, for the upcoming League of Cities, I signed up for a course in budgeting and how to increase revenue, so.
Good for you, Vice Mayor.
Work harder.
Well, you all have had questions, it's just.
Yeah,
you've asked
I
them all the
had
time.
my book marked up too, but I met with them.
Yeah, Bill.
Okay, two of those, one of them is the bucket truck, which is
Okay.
160,000. One's an F-250, and the rest are first, there's a wood chipper and a few other miscellaneous items that you need, but
Yeah.
most of that is the two vehicles.
We knew.
We need a couple more of those.
Right. Probably, especially after this last week,
Answer
right?
up here.
Yeah.
Just testing. I knew too.
I don't think so.
That was it for now,
That's what he
but
said.
thank you, thank you. I would have asked you personally, but we kind of got lost with Irma in the
Yeah,
last week or
yeah,
so.
that's
so
fine.
I
Not a problem.
appreciate your input, thank you.
Anyone else?
No, Mayor.
All right. You said you?
Oh, no, I said that.
Okay. So you want to go to the
All right.
public hearing?
Before we begin with the millage resolution, state law requires that I do the following announcement. The operating municipal millage will be 5.9998 mills, which reflects no change from the city's current fiscal year millage rate. This operating millage rate represents a 9.78% increase over the rollback rate of 5.4655 mills, as computed in accordance with provisions of Section 200.0651 Florida statutes. The voter-approved debt millage rate is 0.1911 mills in accordance with the provisions of law pursuant to Chapter 200 Florida statutes. The city's aggregate millage rate is therefore 6.1909 mills, which is 5.998 mills for operating and 0.1911 mills for debt service. The final hearing for the budget and the ad valorem tax millage rate will be held at the Dania Beach City Hall, 100 West Dania Beach Boulevard, Dania Beach, Florida, Tuesday, September 19, 2017, at 5:01 p.m. The first resolution is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, as required by the City Charter and Section 200.065 Florida statutes, approving the proposed millage rate necessary to be levied for the fiscal year 2017-2018 for operating purposes, establishing the debt millage rate approved by the electorate, providing for a public hearing when and where objections may be heard and questions concerning the same will be answered, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date, and now you have a public hearing on each of these.
This is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this? Please state your name and address for the record, sir.
Michael Sarton, 746 Southwest 3rd Street in Dania Beach. I've seen city trucks being used for the purpose of moving one corrugated cement sign from the swale. Do we really need full-sized F-150s, or can we get by with what is politically incorrectly referred to, and I think I can get away with this one, sissy trucks? Four-cylinder vehicles that can haul pretty much the same thing, pretty much what I see being hauled by the city's F-150s. I see why you need a big truck. I'm not so foolish as to suggest that you need no big trucks, but how many times do you see a full F-150? My family was kind of in the fleet business. I kind of look at it and go, hey, he's pulling 2-3 cubic yards of air down the road for no apparent reason. And that happens over and over again. I'm not certain that we need full-sized pickup trucks. Thank you.
Anyone care to address? No? Okay.
Do
Any
you want
other?
us to say something? or-
Yes, you can feel free.
No? Yes, no. Well, it's just, full-size trucks, like the situation we're in right now, you need them often, and I don't think the price differential between a small truck and a big truck are much, and fuel costs are lower than they have been, so that's why you try to prepare for needing the trucks all at one time, and that is the case we have right now.
All right. Anyone else in the audience?
Move the item.
Second.
You go, Bill.
Yeah.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Commissioner Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 3.2, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, relating to the imposition of fire rescue assessments and provision of fire protection services, facilities and programs in the City of Dania Beach, Florida, reimposing fire rescue assessments with updated assessment rates against assessed property located within the City of Dania Beach for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2017, approving the rates of assessment, approving the final assessment roll, confirming and supplementing the preliminary rate resolution, providing for severability, further providing for an effective date.
This is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this?
Move the item.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Commissioner Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 3, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, relating to the provision of stormwater management services in the City of Dania Beach, Florida, imposing and reimposing stormwater assessments against property located within the City of Dania Beach for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2017, approving the rate of assessment, approving the assessment roll, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date.
This is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this?
Move the item.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Commissioner Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 4, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, relating to the provision of solid waste service assessments in the City of Dania Beach, Florida, reimposing solid waste service assessments against assessed property located within the boundaries of the City of Dania Beach for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2017, approving the rate of assessment, approving the assessment roll, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date.
Sorry, this is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this?
Move the item.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Commissioner Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
And
Now,
last
let's get to the nitty-gritty.
Last resolution, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, as required by the city charter and section 200.065 Florida statutes, approving a tentative annual budget for the city for the fiscal year 2017-2018, providing for a public hearing when objections will be heard and questions concerning the budget will be answered, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date.
This is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this? Commissioner Grace?
Move the item, but as you indicated before, you were concerned about waste management. That's going to come up in another 7 years. We probably need to start working on what directions we want to go with them and see how it works out, but I make the motion to approve.
I need to make sure that your motion to approve is to approve the tentative budget as amended
That
tonight.
is correct.
I'll second that.
All right. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Commissioner Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Just because we were there, Marco, myself, and Tamara, when we toured the League of Cities in the vendor hall, there's, in regards to waste disposal, there's all kinds of new things coming out as far as
Yep.
sanitary waste and better disposal and natural gas vehicles and assisting those, removal of those items. So those are all be things to consider on how we more smarter remove our waste and our trash in the next couple of years. So it's something to consider.
Especially the recycling thing.
Yes.
Recycling.
Close recycling.
Let me ask a question. I don't know if this goes to Tom or Nikki. Is there a way we could possibly review the contract and see if it's something that we can negotiate? Oh, or maybe Brad, and maybe negotiate, because we did find a lot of vendors going up and down there, and then there are things that when you have companies that are kind of not a monopoly, you have companies that really can compete and give you a lot more for a lot less, and just to see if it's something that we could, some things that we can negotiate within the current contract that we have.
To just address that and to address some of the other comments regarding the solid waste agreement, it's absolutely the intention, my intention would be once the hauling contract and the disposal contract, which expire within, I believe, a month of each other, to go out to bid, for either all-in-one or for both those services. And the reason why, the marketplace is a little bit more competitive today, although, some of the things we see going on in Broward County Waste Management is certainly trying everything that they can to, reconstitute a monopoly based on, other company acquisitions that they have made during, the course of the last year. So, a lot is, but there's still Wheelabrator that is existing at their facility in the southern part of the county as well. But the thing is, the agreement we're in currently basically is the Reuters agreement is something that really, and I've looked at this, it doesn't really have any loopholes that I have found, and Tom can attest to it, to really get out of it. We have a very high...
We tied the disposal agreement to the hauling agreement. If you remember, we're obligated to do
I know.
business with Reuters as part of a
Right.
settlement agreement, and so we have no choice until that agreement runs out.
I can tell you one thing, right now, we have the highest disposal rate in Broward County, but I can assure you that once these contracts expire, that will no longer be the case. It is a much more competitive market as far as that goes, so we will definitely see reductions in our solid waste pricing, but...
What happened years ago, when you entered the agreement, you were getting a better deal, and then over time, that changed, and you were already locked into the
Right.
disposal agreement because of the legal settlement. So it's, that cost has risen where other cities has gone down.
Commissioner Savino?
If I recall also, wasn't the when we went out to bid on this, though, wasn't we had so many restrictions to, some of the people couldn't bid because there were so many things that
They
they...
didn't have all of their paperwork,
I
two
mean,
of them.
Right, there was only, by the time that we got done laying out, they have that 2 years' experience you had to have. You couldn't, and residential, you couldn't be, it was just not commercial. You had to have so many trucks. All that stuff was out there that we couldn't, half the people that were there couldn't even bid because of that particular reason. All those people we saw at the Leagues of Cities probably couldn't even bid because of the way that it was laid out.
Well, no, that's why I'm asking, is it something that we could revisit? But if you're saying there's no loopholes and there's
loophole's done.
nothing
There's no
possible that
loopholes.
we
There's
can...
some-
It's because you
Agreement
have
with
two
Wilberry.
components, the disposal, which is rooters, and the collection, which is waste management, and there's where the problem is. So those were tied together last time, so they expire at the same time.
Okay. All right, thank you. Is there something I can help you with?
Very brief.
Okay.
For an additional bulk pickup, we pay $25 per cubic yard, with which I have no agreement. We also pay $25 for each additional cubic yard, even though the marginal cost for picking up the second cubic yard has to be less than the marginal cost for picking up the first cubic yard.
Thank you. Anyone else? Meeting adjourned.
Angel, first budget, I'll leave that here. Hey, Mayor, did Rich Hobby get a hold of you? Just wanted to, I guess you took care of all that, right? You just talked to him already, right? More than that, yeah. There's so much trash around town.